Hello, War Thunder community. Great to be here to help you guys out. I want to go over the realistic controls setup that I use. We have one guy that's shown his control settings for sim-oriented stuff, and now I'm going to show mine. So let's first go up here to options, and there's one thing in options that I want you to make note of, and that's going to be under the common battle settings. You're going to come down to camera shake, and that just really adds to like a lot of wobble in the game, and so bring that all the way down to 0, and that's a pretty important factor. Also, this is probably going to be done in 3 clips, unless I can edit it all into another. But next we're going to go down into your controls, and then you're going to come to realistic, and that will work for everything in the game. Once you get it set, you can use these also in arcade, which I have friends that do. Make note of virtual instructor. That lets the instructor protect you from making stalls and spins, but I do feel that it limits your ability to do other things. So experiment with that. You may want to turn it on for a little bit, and then you may want to turn it off. Next, we're going to come down to main axis controls, and note that my throttle is the left stick. And also a very important thing that I want to make note of is underneath that we have throttle hold for WEP. You do not want that on, and the reason being is you don't want to be pushing forward on the stick and holding it forward and then trying to move the stick right and left. You're not having a smooth range to use your yaw, which we're going to have the yaw on the left stick. So you want to be able to set your throttle and then let go of the stick and then just move the yaw left and right. The next important things is going to be the axes and how I have those set up, and that's going to be in the next clip here. Okay guys, now we're going to go ahead and set up the axes. Make note that I use the right stick for roll and pitch, and I use the left stick for yaw. You're going to notice here we're going to talk about a little bit of dead zone that I add in because you're constantly moving both of the sticks forward and backwards, or up and down I would say, and you want a little bit of dead zone on the left and right movements so that you're not bumping into things. So here we are with the roll axis. You'll notice that there is a little bit of dead zone I have set to 0.05, and get that as close to that setting as you can. You may have to use the D-pad or the stick to make that fine adjustment to get it to 0.05. And make note of the non-literary, or however you say that. And then we'll come back out here to the pitch axis. Now on the pitch axis, you don't want any dead zone, because when you're behind somebody and you need to move that nose up and down, you want it to be as smooth, be able to make a smooth adjustment as possible. Next, we're going to go to the yaw axis, and make sure that if you have anything else set there, you need to clear these axes, like I said, and put those in, the new ones in. Dead zone here, we're at 0.2, and I've tested both of these sticks so that you can freely move the sticks up and down and not bump in. So that took a lot of time to get that tweak right. Also, make note that I'm using the FpsFreaks stick extenders. That adds a little bit more range to the stick. You can pick them up at GameStop for like 16 bucks, and it makes a huge difference. But if you need to make any other adjustments, don't do it in the axis settings. Do it in the roll, pitch, and yaw sensitivity. You can also adjust those for a certain plane if you have a certain plane so that you don't come into stall. Okay, I want to make a quick note too that on my pitch axis, I have it set with the invert so that when you pull back on the stick, the nose goes up, push forward, it goes down. So if you need to change that for your personal preference, then go into pitch axis and select that. Next, we're going to go down to camera controls, which I think is the most important thing in this game, is situational awareness. I think that is hugely important, so I spent a lot of time on getting this right. Now, I do use on my left stick, I have it opposite of my pitch, so that when I push forward with the view and I'm looking around the plane, it goes down, and then I pull back and go up. If you need to change that, this where I have highlighted is where you would change that. And then you'll note also for the zoom axis that I have the left trigger set as the axis for that, and that enables you to zoom in as a little bit or all the way if you need to. Next, let's go down to the X-axis, and you're going to note here that I use the left bumper to engage, so you need to set the left bumper for enable axis. What this does is this lets you just hold down the left bumper, and then since you don't use your yaw that much, then you can look around and then still use the right stick to fly. So that's huge. Then we're down to the Y-axis, and we're going to have the exact same thing there. Just make sure if you need to pause the video to get like these dead zones and whatnot, pause it so that you can get these settings exactly the way they are. But this works very, very smoothly. I got the ability to look around the plane or look around the cockpit set super small, super smooth, I would say. Next, you're going to have sense of flight. This is another one of those settings in the game that creates wobble. So bring it all the way down to 0. And then last, we have aiming. Make sure those settings are set exactly the way I have them. Okay, so we're going to start right back here with the aim settings. Just double check those. It gives you a little bit more time to look at it. Make sure that that acceleration is at 0 and the game camera control sensitivity is at 10%. Next, we're going to go up and we're going to talk about flaps. Flaps are huge in this game, especially in RB, and even more so when we get sim battles. You can use them in the top of turns to get advantages. You can use them on some planes to get more turn speed advantage than what it even shows listed for the plane. One thing with my setup is you can use the left bumper to give yourself, like as you'll see here, like if you look down where I have toggle air brake, I'm using a whole nother set of buttons on the D-pad. So you originally have 4 on the D-pad, and then you can hold down LB and then have another 4. So that's 8 off the D-pad. You can also hold down LB and use a whole nother 4 set of buttons with the Y, X, A, and B. So that's giving you an enormous button layout to use. Keep in mind also that you can use a keyboard on the Xbox One. It just has to be a USB keyboard, plugs right in, and War Thunder recognizes it. So there's a whole nother possibility if you want to go with the keyboard route and have buttons programmed to that. I'll also add real quick that a lot of PC players use full engine management. And the reason they do that and the way they do that is you can set a button to toggle controls. And when you hit that toggle control button, it changes it through point aim, simplified, realistic, and full controls. When you go to full controls and you come down to manual engine control, which is clear at the bottom of full control, you can go ahead and experiment with setting any of those settings to all of those buttons that I just described that you can use on your controller or on a keyboard. This increases horsepower. You can climb without overheating. So that's something that you may want to get into here in the future. But anyhow, I hope this helps you guys out. Happy flight.